ॐ सुत्रमानं पृथिवीं द्यामनेहसं सुशर्माणम् अरितिं सुप्रणीतिं दैवीं नावं सरित्वाम् अनागसम् अस्रवन्तीम् अरुहेमा स्वस्तये. My dear brothers, sisters, children of God, my fellow souls, namaste. Today, my message is God speaks to us all the time. This mantra compares the knowledge contained within the Vedas to a boat. Daivim Navam, the boat made of learned or sermon full of Vedic knowledge. This boat, which is well built, Sutramanam, it protects adequately. It is Dhyam illuminated, and Nehasam, flawless and solid. It is Susharmanam, that which gives great pleasure, and Supranitim, possess of virtuous conduct. It is also Aditim, that which possess the unique image and knowledge of Vedas. The mantra tells us that this boat which we should use to travel to our destination, moksha. It has all the built-in protection for its passengers. It is spacious, glows continuously with light of peace and consciousness. Those who travel in this vehicle in the knowledge of Vedas enjoy their journey in the always present peace which accompanies all with knowledge of Vedas. It is indestructible, it cannot be broken down, and it always offers safe guidance and passage. In this analogy of the boat, this boat has good strong paddles and good GPS. Takes you exactly where you want to go. Because of its skillful construction, it is free of any defects and holes. It does not astravantim. This boat does not leak. And it protects the passengers with knowledge of Vedas from all external threats. In this analogy, the passenger is the soul in this journey. Jivatma, traveling to the destination of liberation or moksha. Upon such a divine boat, we should all make every effort to embark. O God, this swastaye aruhema we accept for our benefit. O God, we acknowledge His presence and divine gift of this vehicle, the knowledge of Vedas for us to use. God speaks to us all the time. Every moment of every day, God speaks to us. God is always trying to communicate with His children. The problem, my fellow souls, is that we do not always listen. So He may be trying to reach us and help us. Maybe He's trying to point us in the right direction. Maybe He's trying to put us in the right path. But because we fail to listen, we fail to hear His voice, and we do not accept His help. Now imagine for a moment that there's a radio station, and it's transmitting all the time. You have a radio, but the only way you could receive the radio station is if you take the time and you tune in to that channel in which the radio station is broadcasting. Only if you make that effort to tune into the same frequency Then you can hear what is being broadcasted. Are we making that effort? Sadly, it seems that many of us do not even understand that indeed God is trying to communicate with us. So we don't make an effort to listen. So how does God communicate with us? How does He speak to us? I put this question to those of you who've been in communication and divine. How does He communicate with us? You know, when you're sitting watching television and that silent little voice suggests that maybe you could do something better with your time, that is your God speaking to you. That little voice that in the afternoon reminds you that maybe you should get up and go and do that meditation you always promise yourself you should be doing, that is your God speaking to you. That same little coaching voice which warns you against repeating those vicious little rumors we hear, that same quiet inner pleading which implores you to stop doing any self-destructing behavior, that is your God speaking to you. Or it silently warns you to check in with the other room to make sure your child is safe. Mothers here can understand that. How many times have you got that little message in your head that where's my child? I didn't see him in a while. And then you go and you find them almost doing something not good. You listen to God that time. My fellow soul, that is the divine trying to communicate with you. How many times have you listened to the suggestions and warnings in your own head? How many of you have listened and followed through on the idea that came into your head? How many of you have listened to that voice within and decided that yes, you will take 15 minutes away from the TV and you will open the Vedas and you will read that one mantra and you will look into the meaning of that mantra and judge yourselves whether or not you're practicing what the mantra means. It might take 15 minutes of our time, but that little voice that tells you you should do that, that is your God trying to guide you. I'll give you a little example. One day my daughter was coming home, Vashti. She was driving home from upstate where she goes to college. And she stopped at Starbucks, one of our favorite places, to get something to drink and to eat. And she ordered some sandwich, I think. And she's in a hurry to get back on the road. And she got it, it was undercooked. So she told him, listen, this is undercooked. Now she had to wait longer. She got a little impatient. They prepared it again. Again, it was undercooked. So she had patience. He says, it's okay. I don't need it anymore. She took her money and she left. See, when we were discussing that the other day, I asked her, what was the condition of traffic when she left to the Starbucks? It wasn't good. While she was in the Starbucks, something happened on the highway. Could it possibly be that that was God's little motivation that stopped her from being at the road at the time that thing happened on the road? See, we have to rethink how we think about this. We're in a rush to get over there and the light is just changing red and we're about to run that light and the light stopped us. If the light didn't change, did it happen in a way that you needed to stop and be there at the moment in time? See, things happen for a reason. We don't look upon all of those things. So I explained to my daughter that could it possibly be that God did not want you on the highway at that moment in time? And she looked at it and she says, yes, now she understands. You see, we must look at things a little differently. We do things And we have to accept that, you know what, universe, God, nature sometimes tries to send us a message. Are we receiving the message? And are we adjusting our behaviors according to the message? Because if we don't, then we're really not receiving the message. See, God has His own way of influencing what happens at different moments in time in our lives. But to understand this, we must be aware that He is always present, He is always aware, He is always listening, and He is always communicating with us. How many of you have listened to that calling to sit quietly and to meditate in place, to accept His grace and guidance? You see, unless we make a conscious decision to listen to Him and to do as that little voice tells us, we cannot say that God does not speak to us. What we can say is God speaks to us and we do not listen. So yes, chanting mantras, singing bhajans, attending mandir, yes, it matters. But to be committed to listening to that divine within as He speaks to us is more important. This is a commitment we must make if we want to improve our lives. My fellow soul, God speaks to us all the time. Here is something to be aware of. The more we begin to listen to that voice, the louder the voice gets. We can't ignore it. And the easier it becomes to listen to the voice and to follow through on actions. But here's the reverse of that. The more we ignore it and we fail to pay attention to that divine voice, eventually we stop hearing the voice. We are tuning it out. Bhagavad Gita says, Sarvata pani padam tat Sarvata akshishira mukham Sarvata shruti mat loke Sarvam avrita avritya tishtati. This shloka says that God tishtati exists sarvata everywhere. His pani, hands, padam, legs, his akshi, his eyes, his shira, his head, his mukham, his face, his srutimat, ears, hearing is always present everywhere in this world. In this way, God exists and all-pervading in every single particle of the universe. As the sun exists while diffusing its unlimited rays, so does Paramatma. He exists in every place we could possibly think about. So if we say that God is all-pervading, we cannot say that we have hands, legs, and eyes everywhere. We are not like God. That is not possible. I explained yesterday to Mataji, I says that, and you will hear me repeat this over and over. If I ask you what a mango tree is, a mango tree is the roots, the trunk, the branches, the leaves, the flowers, the fruits. But if I ask you about a mango leaf, you will say, yes, the mango leaf is a mango leaf. The mango leaf is not the tree, but the tree is all of everything else. We are a part of that divine, but we are not the divine. But we're connected to the divine. This is why we can hear His communication if we listen. Imagine God gives you a computer, the most powerful computer ever. What will you do with it? Will you use the most powerful computer on the planet to play games? Well, first you'll have to know the capability of this computer. You have a computer that can do anything for you. But if you decide to use it to play games, who will you blame for not using it to its potential? You can't blame anyone else. Imagine that you visit a spiritual teacher and you have so many questions about life, about the problems of life and the issues you're having with people, and he gives you a book. He advises you, take this book. Every answer, every question you will ever ask yourself has the answer within this book. If you read this book, all your questions and problems will be resolved. And you take this book and you go home and you put it in your bookshelf and you show all your friends and your family what a great book you have, but you don't read it. Whose fault is that? If you only pick that book up, and we have the Vedas, and that's why every time we do Havan here, I try to explain that through these 3 different mantras so that we can learn and practice what the meaning of these mantras are. Tere dar ko chhod kar kis dar jao main, सुनत मेरी काम किसको सुनाऊं मैं. Where can I go except to your door, O God, to tell of my problems and distress? Who except you would listen to me? Sometimes, O God, we fail in using this intellect which you've granted to me. At these times, we come to your door to receive your guidance. One verse of this bhajan goes, Hai to naat varo ka data, tujhse sab var paate hain, rishi muni aur yogi sare तेरे ही गुण गाते हैं. चीता दे दो जान का होश में आओ मैं, सुनत मेरी गान किसको सुनाओ मैं. We ask God, oh God, you grant blessings, and so all the rishis and munis and yogis, they sing your praise. I've lost, we acknowledge we've lost our divine consciousness, our connection to you, O God. Sprinkle us with some of your cool drops of divine knowledge so that we can regain that consciousness. O God, we need to reconnect with you so that we can begin to communicate with you once again. There was once this farmer who worked his land his whole life in his modest home, sitting in a corner shelf with cobwebs. There was this gleaming rock. He had found this while plowing his fields, and he came across this rock. It was so extraordinary and beautiful. He picked it up, took it home, and it sat on that shelf for years. On his deathbed, he calls his son. He says, my son, I don't have much to offer you but hard work. Take the farm, work hard. You'll live a life. I can't give you much more. And I had this rock, somewhere I found this, but I always feel this attachment to this rock. Here, take this too. So the son took the rock to his house. He put it in a corner shelf. He forgot about it. A few years later, his son went to college. The son now got an education. The son came back home. The father was near dying. He was very, very sick. Visited the father. Looked at the shelf and says, Dad, what is that? Papa, what is this rock on that shelf? He goes, well, my father gave me that. He found it on the farm and he's plowing his field. And he passed away and he gave me that. He had nothing else but the farm to give me. And the son, now educated, goes, oh my God, you don't know what you've had. This is a great big diamond worth so much, worth 10 times, 100 times of this farm. You see, we have the Vedas. We have this all-powerful, gleaming knowledge, better than any knowledge, the mother of all knowledge, in our hands. Many of us, for us, it's still in the shelf, and we're hoping to buy one day. And we do not understand the worth of what we have. My fellow souls, today, do you know what the value that you have within you? You have within you the most powerful of computers, but too many of us use it only to play games. We use it to play emotional games, games of love and games of hate. We use it to cause so much suffering among each other without realizing what we can achieve if we were to put that computer to its best use. This mind of ours, greater and better than any computer man has even dreamed of building. My fellow souls, how many of us have that book placed in the bookshelf with the glass door that has all the answers to all our questions we will ever ask in our lives? I ask you today to go and take that book and commit to reading one page every single week. 1 mantra a week. Examine the meaning of mantra and ask yourself the questions, am I living what the mantra is teaching? Not just repeat mantra and over. Do the same with our bhajans. We sing bhajans. Look at what bhajan mean. Are we practicing what bhajan is saying in our lives? My fellow souls, we must understand the value of the diamond we have within. How many of you have taken the time to understand that you're the most precious, you're the most divine, you're the most powerful. You have within you that which is of the utmost potential. And that you are not just another living thing here on earth. My fellow souls, when we leave here today, I pray that each one of us make a commitment to turn and focus inwards, to become more aware of the presence of the divine within us, in our minds. I pray that we develop the discipline to begin listening to the voice of God, which is always trying to communicate with us. And that as we begin listening to that divine voice, that it gets louder and clearer, and the message get used to make us more perfect children of God. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. All is complete, all is perfect, all is complete. With love and humility in my heart, I say namaste to each and every one of you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.